All right, this is on for calendar call with the jury trial scheduled to start next week, but I did get a guilty plea agreement filed into this case. Mr. Rutledge, is the case negotiated?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and state the negotiations for the record.
Your Honor, he's going to be pleading guilty to counts 1 and 3, robbery with use of a deadly weapon, and count 2, battery with use of a deadly weapon in this case, and robbery with use of a deadly weapon in his second case, which is still in justice court. Yes. And as set forth in the third amended fourth superseding indictment. And the state has the right to argue, but will not seek more than 10 to 30 years total between the cases and counts.
So just so I'm clear, is he pleading in this case to the
Yes.
robbery that's from the other case? No, he's pleading in another case.
Yeah, there's a DPA that will be filed in the other case, the more recent cases picked up.
Understood. Okay. Mr. McDuffie, is that your understanding of the negotiations?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your true and full name?
Antwain McDuffie,
How old are you?
17,
How far did you go in school?
11th grade.
So is it fair to say that you read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medication today?
Yes.
Do you understand you're being charged with 2 counts of robbery with use of a deadly weapon and 1 count of battery with use of a deadly weapon resulting in substantial bodily harm?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to those 2 charges, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Is anybody forcing you to plead guilty?
Yes.
Are you pleading guilty of your own free will?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand the potential penalties for this charge are as follows?
Yes, ma'am.
Hang on, let me go through them and then tell me, I'll stop after each paragraph. All right, so count 1 and 3, the robbery with use of a deadly weapon. The robbery carries 2 to 15 years, Nevada Department of Corrections, and then there's a consecutive 1 to 15 year for the deadly weapon enhancement. So we're looking at a total of 3 to 30 years for that. And those charges are not probationable. Do you understand those potential penalties?
Yes, ma'am.
As to count 2, that charge carries 2 to 15 years in the Nevada Department of Corrections and a fine up to $10,000. That count is probationable. Do you understand those potential penalties for that charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that sentencing is strictly up to the court? So nobody can promise you probation, leniency, or special treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a copy of your guilty plea agreement in front of me on page 6. You initialed it AM. Did you sign that?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's your signature, your initials?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, before you sign that, did you go over it with your attorney, Mr. Rutledge?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Did you understand the entire guilty plea agreement before you signed off on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your attorney answer all your questions before you signed off on this deal?
Yes,
Did your attorney or anyone else force or threaten you in any way to make you sign off on the deal?
ma'am.
Do you understand that you are giving up the constitutional rights that are listed in this document by pleading guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about your constitutional rights?
No.
Do you understand that if you're not a US citizen, this plea could result in negative immigration consequences?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you discuss your case and your rights with your attorney?
No.
Do you have any questions for me regarding your case or your rights in this matter?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna read the third amended fourth superseding indictment, and you tell me if these are the facts that caused you to plead guilty today, okay, sir? So it states, at and within the county of Clark, state of Nevada, on or about January 12th, 2023 and January 21st, 2023. Count 1, you, along with Raven Queen, Sean Jackson, and Derek Lamont Roberts, did on or about the 12th day of January 2023, willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously take property, to wit, keys, from the person of Cordero Brady or in his presence without the consent and against the will of Cordero Brady, by means of force or violence or fear of injury, immediate or future, to his person, the person of a member of his family or anyone in his company at the time of the robbery, you using force or fear to obtain or retain possession of the property, prevent or overcome resistance to the taking of the property, or to facilitate escape, with use of a deadly weapon, to wit, a firearm, you being criminally liable under one more of the following principles of criminal liability, to wit: 1, you directly committed that crime; 2, you aided or abetted in the commission of the crime with the intent that the crime be committed by counseling, encouraging, hiring, commanding, inducing, and or otherwise procuring the others to commit the crime; and or 3, pursuant to a conspiracy to commit the crime with the intent that the crime be committed, defendants aiding or abetting and or conspiring by acting in concert throughout. Count 2 is the battery with use of a deadly weapon resulting in substantial bodily harm. It states that you, along with Raven Queen, Sean Jackson, and Derek Roberts, did on or about January 12th, 2023, willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously use force or violence upon the person of Cordero Brady with use of a deadly weapon with a firearm by shooting at and into the body of Cordero Brady with that firearm, resulting in substantial bodily harm to him, you being criminally liable under one or more of the following principles of criminal liability, to wit: 1, you correctly committed that crime; 2, you aided or abetted in the commission of the crime with the intent that the crime be committed by counseling, encouraging, hiring, commanding, inducing, and or otherwise procuring the others to commit the crime; and or 3, pursuant to a conspiracy to commit the crime with the intent that the crime be committed, you aided or abetted and or conspired by acting in concert throughout with the other defendants. And then finally, count 3, you and or Trevon Anthony Watkins and or an unidentified co-conspirator did on or about January 21st, 2023, willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously take property to wit, a 2019 Mercedes-Benz GLC 600 bearing California license 8FNN 057 from the person of Theodore Ellen or in his presence without the consent and against the will of Theodore Ellen by means of force or fear or violence or fear of injury immediate or future to his person, the person of a member of his family or of anyone in his company at the time of the robbery, using force or fear to obtain or retain possession of the property, to prevent or overcome resistance to the taking of the property, and or to facilitate escape with use of a deadly weapon, to wit, an AR-15 firearm bearing serial number NS 074186 or other unknown make, model firearm, you being criminally liable and or other following principles of criminal liability to wit, 1, you directly committed that crime. 2, you aided or abetted in the commission of the crime by counseling, encouraging, hiring, commanding, inducing, and or others procuring another to commit the crime with the intent that the crime be committed. You and or Trevon Anthony Watkins and or an unidentified co-conspirator entering into a course of conduct where you and Trevon Anthony Watkins and or an unidentified co-conspirator approached and entered Theodore Ellen's vehicle, whereupon you demanded the keys to the vehicle. Thereafter, you directed Trevon Anthony Watkins and or an unidentified co-conspirator to shoot Theodore Ellen, whereupon Trevon Anthony Watkins and or the unidentified co-conspirator armed with an AR-15 firearm pointed that firearm at Theodore Ellen. Thereafter, Theodore Ellen exited the vehicle, and you and Trevon Anthony Watkins and or an unidentified co-conspirator then drove the vehicle away. You and your co-conspirators acting in concert throughout and or through pursuant to a conspiracy to commit the crime. Are those all the facts that cause you to plead guilty to those 3 crimes that you are pleading guilty to today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I find there is a factual basis for this plea and it is freely and voluntarily answered. We're going to refer the case to the Department of Parole and Probation for preparation of PSI and set it down for sentencing on June 11th, 2024. That'll be the same date Mr. Jackson is there so that we can obviously coordinate efforts.
Portz, that's fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
that'll be the sentencing date. Thank you, sir. We'll see you back at that time.
Amended indictment.
Mr. Portz, we need the
Do you have
amendment.
that?
Yeah.
I'll file it for you.
Don't have a copy.
Can you get provide them today?
Yeah.
Isn't it the exhibit or no?
No, it's not. It's gotta be a filed copy.
Okay, just file it within 40 hours.
Yeah, thank you.
Page 1, Raven Queen, C371483. Ms. Queen is present with Mr. Ericsson. We still have Mr. Portz for the state. This is on for a calendar call and you're moving to continue.
Yes, Your Honor, we are, and for the record, Lance Maningo is also.
Oh, thank you.
Good morning.
Yes, you are, yes.
Can we place Mr. Ericsson under oath real quick?
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this act will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Thomas Ericsson.
All right, Mr. Ericsson, what still needs to be done to get this portion of the case ready for trial?
Your Honor, as you're aware, I'm fairly new to the case. Mr. Maningo is very new to the case. We have been trying to get up to speed, but with this particular part of the case that was separated from the larger, more comprehensive case, we have not had the opportunity to go through everything with our client and are not prepared to go to trial.
Additional investigation, perhaps?
Yes, Your Honor, and there are potential experts that are be needed that we need.
Okay. State what's your position.
We don't object.
All right, so I am going to grant the motion to continue finding good cause, specifically the need for additional investigation. And I will vacate the next week's trial date in this case. I will just have this trail, the homicide matter, and then once there is either a verdict or once there's a verdict in that matter, we can address resetting this. Does that work for the state?
That's fine to say.
Okay. Any objection to that?
No, Your Honor, that.
Okay, so then the next date will be the status check trial readiness and the homicide on 5/28. I tell that there was a motion filed. I haven't had a chance to review it. It'll get calendar in the ordinance, in the normal course. We'll address it when that comes up on calendar.
Okay, great.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm sorry, Judge, that was May 28th, correct?
It is.
Okay, thank
It
you.
should already be on calendar.
Yeah.
But yes,
Got it.